Have you felt the energy all around you, or a sensation that's typically not there, and thought to yourself, what is going on? Well, lucky for you, in this show, Master Your Energy, we're going to dive deep and explore the energy going around in the cosmos and how it might be impacting us here on Earth. And also, each episode, you'll gain new tools, perspectives, and ways to connect deeper and deeper with your own energy. And of course, I'm your host, Sara Wong. After 15 years in being in a corporate environment, I decided to dive deeper into my own energy. And over the last 10 years, I've studied things including emotional intelligence, quantum physics. I also became a Reiki master. And specifically speaking, over the last 4 years, I opened my own business and have served thousands of clients in understanding and healing their own energy. As your guide, I'm honored to be here with you today. Welcome, welcome. We are in the heart of the full moon in Scorpio, and it is now a super full moon in Scorpio, which means our emotions are guiding us forward each and every day. And this is a time of deep reflection and an illumination of anything that's blocking us from moving forward. So a reminder, whatever's showing up, and it could be across the spectrum with new perspectives, challenges, ways to connect to your own reality, overcome anything. And it might require a new approach. It might require some downtime, a new perspective, maybe a discussion with a good friend. So this is definitely a time to nurture whatever's showing up. And the other side of the spectrum is new ideas, a ton of creativity flowing through you, your passions ignited, and you're ready to step into the most rawest form of your authentic truth. Nothing can stop you. So wherever you're at in that spectrum requires a leap of faith. It requires a shift in energy. And not only that, but we have a major planet that, in my opinion, is giving us an opportunity to also move in a new direction. And so starting today, officially, Pluto is stationed in retrograde for the next 5 months. And Pluto is the Lord of evolution. And Pluto energy loves to remove anything that lacks energy while teaching the gift of detachment. And I feel like the pandemic has absolutely supported us in understanding detachment from our day-to-day schedule. So as we move forward with the new awareness and start to form our new reality in this ever-changing world and environment, it's important to understand of letting go, going with the flow. And sometimes that requires us to stay extremely grounded and present. So no mistake, we have the gift of Taurus still very active in the sun energy, anchoring us into practicality and honoring our love, our passions, and also mixed with that full moon in Scorpio energy. It's also about honoring that raw truth. So, as you can imagine, this is a time for deep soul growth if we give ourselves that space. And for my journey, it's been a constant reminder to explore new tools and ways to understand my own reality, whether it's my emotional, spiritual, physical body. There's so many different tools out there. And the more I connect to my own energy, the more I'm able to navigate these ever-changing times. Now, I just want to give you a quick reminder. We're in 2021, which is a year of breaking free and finding new ways to experience this reality that feel more aligned to our truth and ways that feel sustainable and creative and really unlimited. So this is really a time to explore and honor what's coming up. And it might be in relationships. It also might be in a stagnant energy anywhere in your life. And believe me, this energy here and this for the next 5 months and this week specifically speaking is really the catalyst to what's available if we choose to step into that energy and explore what's there. And one of the biggest tools being a Reiki master is Reiki. And I have such a gift today for the world because I have my mentor in Reiki on here, my teacher, my Reiki master, Miss Kerri Draper here on the show today. And I'm so excited because it's not only about in teaching Reiki and allowing us to have this conversation. But Kerri is just such a unique soul, and I'm so grateful to have had her on my journey. So to be able to share her with all of you today is such a gift, and especially on a full moon of Scorpio, which is really vulnerable and honoring our emotions. Kerri is probably the most authentic teacher I've ever encountered in my journey, and I'm so grateful. So after this quick little break, we'll be back with my favorite Reiki master in the world, most likely, probably forever. I don't think that will ever change. And besides myself, of course. And with that, we'll be right back after this quick little break. If you're just tuning in to KCAA Radio, this is Sara Wong, host of Master Your Energy. And in this show, this week, we're exploring the inspiration of honoring our honest truth and exploring where our energy is truly being called as we move forward through this ever-changing time. And this week's guest is no stranger to energy. Kerri Draper is a Reiki master teacher and founder of Huntington Beach Reiki. She's also an author, the Reiki teacher for Hoag Hospital, Optimal Hospice, Orange Coast College, and Kerri has also started many different volunteer Reiki programs in local cancer centers, hospitals, hospice, senior centers, and horse and animal rescues. So what is Reiki and why does it matter to you? Let's dive in. Welcome, Kerri.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Oh, so glad to have you here. And, Kerri, you obviously have had so much experience of describing what Reiki is to a plethora of different people from all age groups, all types of species. So what is the best way, in your opinion, and your experience over the last 14 plus years, that most people resonate, especially ones who have never heard of Reiki or maybe have heard of it a couple times? What is the easiest way to explain Reiki?
Well, the best way is we are energy. And I don't think we realize that. And what Reiki does is really helps the person relax. So as a practitioner, it's our job to set the stage for that relaxation response. And when that relaxation response happens, all of our energy channels, centers open up. We start to balance, and then we start to heal. Because, we're kind of blocked everywhere, and those areas just aren't going to heal because the energy is not flowing there. So for the everyday person, it's a total relaxation technique. And once you get into that, as a practitioner, we're just channeling in the energy. The person is taking that energy and actually healing themselves. We're just the channel.
Yep.
Yeah.
Beautiful. And so Reiki is a Japanese term. So can you describe also what Reiki means?
Well, Reiki is spiritual energy. And if people aren't with spiritual, they can say universal energy. It's all the same thing. But it's a Japanese technique, and it was invented to have the average Joe be able to come in and do it. It's so simple that everyone can do it. Hey, I'm an average Joe. I do it. So
yeah, how did you get started with Reiki? How was it introduced to you?
At first, I was very much the skeptic. I came from the medical and scientific background. I was in biomedical field for 15 years, but I had gotten cancer, and I went through treatment. And after treatment, I was still having a lot of problems from everything. So a friend said, "Oh, you need to go meditate, or you need to go do some yoga." And I'm like, "I can't meditate. My brain can't even stay quiet for 2 seconds." So I picked yoga. And while I was doing the yoga, there was a magazine that had a little article about Reiki. And I remember reading it, just kind of going, yeah, right. But I still thought, you know what, let me give it a try. I had a session, and I was amazed that the pain started to go away. And so I wanted to learn this because I know Reiki is about healing yourself. And so that was my plan. Okay, I'm going to heal myself. I'm going to take care of all these issues I've got going on. And it took care of it. And it took care of it pretty quickly. And I was really shocked. So then I thought, okay, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do this free for cancer patients. This is going to be my little hobby, and that is all I'm going to do. And well, it grew from there.
Yeah.
So, but I still do it free for all cancer patients.
Yep.
So that's kind of how I was kind of just, my friend said, "You're too stressed, go do some yoga." So I'm like, okay. And well, I still can't meditate. I'm just going to put that one out there right now.
Yeah. I mean, Reiki is, to me, it is a personal journey. And also, like you mentioned, it's everyone can do it. We all have Reiki access, like you've taught me. And, as we go through the different levels, we learn how to open up that Reiki access as practitioners and guides for others, like you mentioned, so we can support them and receiving that energy, and then their body knows exactly where to go. It's such a powerful experience. And what have how many, so you've been teaching Reiki, I believe you said 14 years, correct? Yep, 14 years.
Long
And
time,
like
right?
estimate how many students have in those 14 years, how many students do you think you've taught or attuned now in all levels?
I know it's in the thousands,
Yeah.
but I couldn't give you an exact number, but I would say the thousands.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It is amazing because each time I bring in that attunement or that reiju, it's such a magical experience. I love it.
Yes.
Like we were saying, level 1 is just like the awesome class to teach because they get to feel it for the first time.
Yeah, level 1 is all about self-healing. So it's being that conduit. It's what's required is to fill this vessel up first and make sure we're anchoring in that flow of white light. Essentially is what I resonate mostly with, that energy of Reiki. And it is that universal love. I always like to say, it's like, when you hug someone that you love and haven't seen forever, and you're just like, oh, you feel so good. To me, that's Reiki. When you fall and you hurt your knee and you grab your knee and you just put your hand on it, that's Reiki, right? We intuitively do it all the time. I have so many clients also, I've noticed recently, that they're just like, I just feel like I can feel energy more than ever before. And I truly believe it's a process as we start to open up our channels and gifts and, energy, like you mentioned, it's naturally a part of us.
Yeah. I mean, we're all born with it. When I first started, I thought, well, only special people can do this kind of stuff. But the truth is we all are born with the same ability. I'm not better than anybody else. We're all the same. And like you said, you bump your knee, you grab it. I mean, I say a few bad words too, but you grab it and you feel better because touch is so important. And, and that is part of Reiki as well, is just connecting with somebody, and being in their energy. And saying, I truly care about you, and that's why I'm here and I'm helping you. We don't get a lot of that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of just fear, and so people aren't connecting.
Right.
And the best way to do it.
Yeah. And how has Reiki helped you as a mother, as being in relationship, as having a unionship with your partner? How's it supported you with your family?
Well, I haven't killed any of them yet.
Because you have 2 kids. How old are your kids?
Well, now they're teenagers, so they know everything. But they're 14 and almost 17.
Oh, they definitely know everything then.
Oh, yeah. I'm an idiot at this point. But, it helped a lot when they were young. Yeah. My son used to have a lot of hard time sleeping. And so I would just go in with him and I would just channel that energy for him, and he would just fall fast asleep. My daughter is very hyper, especially when she was young. Again, the energy really helped calm her down as well. So everybody in my family is a Reiki master, even our animals.
Beautiful.
So they use it on themselves. And
I had no idea you could attune animals to become a Reiki master.
Yeah, I have a 100-pound tortoise. That's awesome.
Wow.
You really can attune anything, especially, animals and people, because they are that energy already too, just like we are.
When we say attune, I know we know what that means, but how do you describe it to people who maybe aren't familiar with that term?
Well, this is something that a Reiki master or teacher will do with their students, but I actually do it with everybody. Yeah. Because really what it's about is clearing their energy, opening everything up, connecting them with source a little stronger than they were. So basically they're able to bring in more energy to truly take care of themselves, and then channel that for other people as well. But everybody can be attuned. I know the old school of thought was only Reiki people, but no, I do it for everybody.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Yeah, I love learning from you because one of my most favorite things about you is how you allow things to be very open and fluid. And part of the lineage we're a part of is really giving ourselves that permission to take the foundation and build our own relationship with it. So, I think that's important as we move forward, especially talking about this energy we're in is, what is your truth? Like, yes, there's foundation, there's knowledge, and now, applying it and making it your own wisdom and your own relationship. So since you've taught a lot of people, me included, what have you noticed that supports people and when they learn a new energy or a new tool for integrating, especially with Reiki, what's helpful for people besides repetition and practice? What are other principles that you found helpful with your students?
Well, I think the most important part of actually a Reiki for the practitioner are the principles. For today, do not anger, do not worry, show that compassion to yourself and others, be humble, have gratitude.
Yeah.
We don't stop to do that stuff. And especially now, it's really hard not to get angry. So when I think of the principles, it's not about not doing it. It's about catching yourself when you are doing it and being able to say, just for today, I'm going to back off and I'm not going to let that emotion take over.
That's right.
I think that's truly important.
Right. When I teach like Reiki level 1, that's the first thing is people ask, how do I not get angry? Like that just doesn't seem realistic. I was like, it absolutely is not. And in fact, it's acknowledging the anger and saying, ooh, I feel this force of energy. Do I want to let it out this way? Or can I find a other way to explore it, neutralize it, work with it, honor it? So thanks to you also, I got my drum. So when I'm like, I just need to process this. I drum it out, but the drum actually opens up the heart. And so it's like a heartbeat energy. And what I've noticed is that anger and frustration starts to move up. And as it moves up, I'm able to tap into that compassion and, really anchor into what I truly want to create versus what my reactions want to create. And it's magic. It's really magic. And it's funny because my husband kind of rates how angry I am based on the tone, like my drum songs. There's a really mad, and then there's, okay, she's processing. Okay, she's and even the dogs are just like, oh, she's like, okay, she's in her zone.
She's really mad. We're not going in right now.
Yeah, but those are the core principles are, my foundation as well. The do not worry, do not anger, have compassion, do honest work, have gratitude. Those are key elements. And, sometimes those are the hardest ones too, because we have to give ourselves that space and time. And so like you mentioned, you don't meditate, but you probably meditate on your own way. Running is your probably form of meditation. I know you're a runner. So, that's my husband too. He loves running. So that's how he meditates. That's how he clears his mind and just feels again alive in his body. So for me, it's playing with crystals and oils and journaling and sometimes coloring, so there's so many ways to tap into that energy, but just giving ourselves that awareness. I feel like that's what Reiki has introduced into my life is just pure awareness of living in the moment versus reacting to the moment and then having to manage my reactions from there.
Yeah. Then oh shoot, I wish I didn't do that.
Yeah, this should have. Oh man. Yeah.
If I just stepped back and did a little Reiki for a second, I would have been different.
Yeah.
But everybody's practice is different.
Yeah.
And, so that's why my number one rule when I teach is there are no rules.
Yeah.
Make it your Reiki practice. Yes, I'm going to give you techniques and stuff, but truly make it yours and do what's best for you. And so I think Reiki is truly a path and it's a constant practice. So yes, that do not anger is a constant practice every day.
Yeah.
And that's okay. Don't get upset and beat yourself up because, man, I screwed these precepts up big time today. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because that's your practice and we're going to have to practice for the rest of our lives.
Yeah. So one of the biggest questions I get is Reiki's, a part of a religion, or is it, part of a belief system that might be tied to a religious group? So what is a response that you feel helps people understand given your experience?
Yeah, no, I do get that a lot. It's like, I'm this religion, you can't do that on me. We are not, bringing any kind of religious dogma in. It truly is energy based. It's truly about the body being able to open up, relax, and let their energy flow. So you wouldn't consider a cardiologist a religion. They're working with the cardiovascular system. It's the same thing. They're opening those up for you, but it's not a religion. I think Reiki practitioners are doing the same thing. They're just working on the energy channels instead of, your veins and arteries.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. It could also, sometimes I like to describe it like it's like a massage for your aura. It's allowing someone to support you in releasing anything energetically that no longer serves you. And it's a co-created experience. And the more you're open to it, the more you'll typically feel, in my experience as well. But it's really independent. Everyone's different. And that's like, some people are just like, I just felt really calm and relaxed. And usually it's because they're so depleted and all they need to do is slow down. And so if they didn't feel anything, I usually say, sometimes they'll come, my old clients will come back, like, I went to this person and I didn't feel it like you. And I'm like, well, what have you been up to? I'm pretty sure it's because you're depleted, and we're in a time where there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of depression, there's a lot of heavy energy, and we're not used to working through the unknown like this. We used to have a rhythm, and our entire world has been turned upside down, and it's just going to take some time to recalibrate. So I'm like, I believe any Reiki master is that anyone that calls themselves a Reiki master, I believe that they're able to serve for some greater good capacity. I hold that in my heart and belief system, and I honor everyone as every single person as a conduit of love if they choose, and it is a choice. So I always say, if you didn't feel anything, it's not because of that person. It's probably because all you needed was
because you were sleeping.
You needed to receive.
Yeah, and you get that too, but you get what you need that day.
Yeah.
And sometimes that day you need just the calm, nothing happening kind of energy healing.
Yep.
And where other days everything's just all mixed up and all over the place. So we need something different every day.
Yeah.
And we can't expect things to be the same all the time. I mean, how boring would that be?
Yeah. And then there's the flip side as a practitioner. Sometimes it's like you feel a ton of energy, and sometimes it's just very relaxing as well. So it's very interesting what needs to come through for whatever reason, usually messages or, some type of opportunity for the client to explore. So it's also very interesting just to be that open channel to receive and not be so attached to like, okay, this is what happens, and then this will happen next, and then this, right? It's like every session is different. And I'm sure like you probably seen this for the last 15 years as well. Like every student's different. Every time you teach it, it's a little like probably similar, but like nuances as well.
Right. Because if somebody's going to ask a question in a class, it's going to take it in a total different direction. So it's always different. And as far as the practitioner, I never know what's going to happen. Even though I have my regulars, it's like I have no clue what's going to happen. And sometimes I see things happen that's like, oh my God, I can't believe I just saw that. Even after 14 years, I'm still, oh my God, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah. It's so fun. Well, I think I even reached out to you randomly. I'm like, Kerri, this happened. You're like, oh, that's so cool. And it's like so nice to have you like just a real human that, I can constantly go to. I think I learned from you the first level. I want to say it was 2017 because it was later. I learned Reiki as part of one of my last modalities because I was introduced to it through one of your students who I went to a retreat with. And she was introducing Reiki. I'm like, what is that? I was so fascinated by it. And so she's like, go see Kerri. I think you'd really like her. And so that's how I was introduced.
Oh, so see, there you go. Small world.
Yeah. So when we get back, we're going to dive in. Since Kerri has been in Reiki and teaching thousands of students now for the last 14 years, has opened a number of nonprofits and free Reiki treatment centers for hospice and hospitals and animals and all the things. We're going to also get into how she supports people with fertility, depression, anxiety. We'll talk some case studies between her and I as well, clients that we've seen. Some really beautiful stories that I think right now during this time, just to know that this technology Reiki is available could be worth exploring for some of you that might be interested. So tune in to the second half of this show. We're going to dive more into real life experiences and situations with Reiki and how it's supported us through our journey. And also more from Kerri too. I love all of Kerri's knowledge. I'm super excited to dive in. So we'll be right back after this commercial break. If you're just tuning in to KCAA Radio, this is Sara Wong, host of Master Your Energy. And in this show, this week we're exploring the inspiration of honoring our honest truth and exploring where energy is truly being called as we move forward through this ever-changing time. And this week's guest is no stranger to energy. Kerri Draper is a Reiki master teacher and founder of Huntington Beach Reiki. She's also an author, the Reiki teacher for Hoag Hospital, Optimal Hospice, Orange Coast College, and Kerri has also started many different volunteer Reiki programs in local cancer centers, hospitals, hospice, senior centers, and horse and animal rescues. So what is Reiki and why does it matter to you? Let's dive in. And we're back. So with that, Kerri, I would love to talk about working with Reiki for anxiety and depression and what you've seen when teaching practitioners how to support these energies and also serving clients as well.
Well, especially right now, it's just like off the charts with that. When our energy can balance, that's kind of our natural state, which definitely helps bring the anxiety down, brings that depression down. But it's hard right now. And so as a practitioner, I think there's so much of that going on that we kind of get caught up in it as well. And so it's really important as a practitioner to truly do the daily self-work.
Yes.
To really help your clients that way.
Yep, absolutely. I always say like my number one compass before I start my day is, am I energetically prepared to serve? And if the answer is no, I feel off, what would be required? And if I have to reschedule, I honor that. And, if I need to take more time for myself because I get busy and like you mentioned in life. And so you're right, as the key essential first is to take care of ourselves. It's, the golden rule in life most of the time is to honor what's needed for you to be the best version of yourself or whatever scenario you show up to, right? And so for people that are going through anxiety, that is an energy of anxiousness and overwhelm. And this can be very common during this type of energy, especially with the full moon. Everything's heightened emotionally speaking as well. And I would say the energy, like historically speaking, you can look at records, even police records show that there's more crime rates, there's more intense energy during full moon energy. So anxiety is also very available, and it could show up as like, feeling like you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, right? And feeling anxious around what you're up to, right? Or your business or, all the things. This is a really amazing time to explore your mind and emotions, but it could also create overwhelm. So what is a technique, whether it's a principle or foundation that you use, given your journey in times of distress and change?
Yeah, I think one of the things Reiki is really about for a practitioner is trust.
Yeah.
To truly trust that energy will be there, that there is truly something looking out for you. So when things kind of get rocky and you start to go, oh my God, it's really about, okay, I trust there's something here for my path and it's the best for me. If I can just get my worry and myself out of the way, it's going to open. And so I think it's just trusting, to kind of ground yourself back and say, okay, I'm going to trust what needs to happen is going to happen. And a lot of times you have things happen that you never even thought would happen.
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes I feel like our attachments can be the limitations. It's the one thing we thought we wanted or needed in this moment could actually be the number one thing we didn't. And so have you ever read the book, The Surrender Experiment, or heard of The Surrender Experiment by Michael Singer? He wrote The Untethered Soul, but his second book is The Surrender Experiment. I believe it's the second book. And it's all about that. It's surrender. It's his journey of literally pivoting his entire life, and what was required of that was surrendering to everywhere he was guided, and it became bigger than he ever imagined, and then it created all these challenges he never imagined, and even navigating out of the challenges. Is a very interesting book, but for me it opened up possibility and understanding that sometimes in moments of what am I supposed to do for my greatest good? It might not be what our ego wants and our feels good about, but when we chose to close our brick and mortar to just do online, my ego didn't want to do that, but my soul was like, this is where we're needed. And, it's time to evolve. And there's other ways to serve the local community and will come in time. But my ego fought it for a while. And, I had to really,
that dang ego.
I really had to figure out, what was in my highest alignment. So Reiki actually helped me. Teaching Reiki level 1 online helped me pivot into that immediately. So that started, the pandemic really started that conduit channel for teaching Reiki level 1. And I do it part of as very specialized workshops. And then, one-offs, part of mentorship. So, now it's integrated into my business, and I love it. I love it. I love being able to teach it. I love to witness and see people open up their channel for the first time and really tap into their own abilities of embodying that white energy, embodying that calm, and giving so many different tools to step into that. So that's pretty much all level 1. And, I also feel though, like with the other levels you teach, you have so much experience, but not only that, working in cancer centers and hospice centers, working with all kinds of energies. Reiki is to me a universal language of love, because oftentimes you can just put your hand on someone's shoulder with a simple intention of sending them Reiki, and they just feel an overwhelming calm. What is one of your favorite memories of working in hospice with Reiki?
I do. I have this one client I went to see, and she was in a nursing home. And so she was in the middle of the room sitting in her wheelchair. And I came in and said, "Hi, I'm Kerri. I'm here to do Reiki." She's like, "I don't know what that is, but I'm so excited." And so I started doing the Reiki on her, and she was getting really relaxed. I thought, oh, she's going to fall out of the wheelchair. So I said, "Okay, that's enough for today. I'll come back." And so the next time I came back, she was laying in bed. She's like, "I am ready."
Oh.
And so I did again. And then I got a call 2 days later that we are now at the 11th hour. She's unresponsive. So I had come in to do Reiki for her. And the nurse said, yeah, she's been totally unresponsive all day. And I said, okay, I'm just going to sit with her and, just channel the Reiki. And so she started to smile. And then all of a sudden she just sits up. She says, "I need my hair to get done." And so I was like, oh, okay. And so I did her hair.
Aww.
And she went back down, and then she passed away 2 hours later. But I think she knew she was taking this amazing journey, and she wanted to look good for it. But I thought that was just so amazing.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And it's, so yeah, you see all kinds of stuff like that. And it's just, wow, awesome.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things we were talking about earlier was fertility. You've supported a lot of women and their partners with fertility. So any stories you want to share on that?
Oh, I have a really good one.
Yeah.
So I was working with a couple with infertility issues, and I just kept seeing there's that girl energy. So I was, you're going to have a girl. And I said, I don't know when, but it was, the husband was, having affairs. So she ended up with somebody else and got pregnant. And, it was a girl. So I did Reiki throughout her whole pregnancy. And then she was born, and then COVID hit. So I had not seen the baby, and she was like 6 months old now. And mom came in with her to get Reiki. And she's like, she's going to probably cry, because she cries seeing strangers. As soon as I sat down and started channeling the Reiki, she wanted me to hold her.
Aww.
And she just would look at me like, I know you. Mm-hmm. And so through the whole session, she needed to be touching me. And so mom was just like, I don't even know what to say. She does not like strangers, but wow. she knew me. Yeah. And that was like amazing to see that happen.
That's so cool.
So that's a cool story, right?
That was recent then. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very recent. Yeah.
Wow.
So even if they're, energy, they'll still recognize you, because you're connecting with that energy. So yeah. Very cool.
That happened to one of my clients. I was able to see her through COVID because of medical reasons, and did Reiki on her during her pregnancy. And when she gave birth to her little girl, she brought her over, and you're right. It's that they're looking in the eyes. It's like, they just she just smiled right away, and it was just like, oh, I know you. Like, it was almost like a familiar, like, friend, like, oh, I know you.
Exactly. Just totally staring. I know you. We met. And like, okay, I know, right?
That's so cool.
But I mean, I had a lot of couples come in with infertility issues, and Reiki helps
Yeah.
because a lot of times that whole area is just blocked of energy. And
Yeah.
obviously, if the energy's not there, there's not going to be able to make room for baby.
Right.
And so it's really about clearing the blocked energy out, creating a nice space where that baby energy is like, yes, I'm ready to come and come in.
Yeah. Yeah, and everyone's
Nothing else.
different. It's, I always say divine timing too. It's, it's layered, and I'm on that journey as well. And I'm excited to lean on my mentors and resources during this time of exploring fertility for myself and my husband and I as well. So super excited to reconnect with you on that. And also, what would you say for couples that are experiencing infertility right now that they can do maybe consciously to start getting connected? Because those blocks can also be emotions, traumas, and suppressed feelings. So, obviously those are conversations that would be good. But what are other tools that you would recommend as follow up after sessions?
To relax and have fun. And
Yeah.
quit obsessing about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when they're obsessing, they're stressed, and now you got the cortisol and stuff going through the body, which is not going to help at all. Just have fun.
Yeah.
Take a break. Take that vacation where you're not thinking about that stuff at all.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's when they get pregnant.
Yeah, it's so true. Let it go. Go with the flow. That's what
Exactly.
I remind myself every day. Okay, and then so what about depression? Because depression's also another energy that's really active right now. Sometimes it's feeling like stuck or stagnant and just like, ugh, I just don't want to experience this anymore. I'm not happy, but I don't know what to do. Feeling a little deflated. That's also another energy that's very common right now. So what are some tools or tricks or stories you have to share about supporting people with depression?
Yeah, depression, that energy feels kind of just like sludge.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times it's really just getting that off. So when I'll do a session with somebody, afterwards they'll be like, oh my gosh, I feel so much lighter, and that energy's heavy. And so you're
Yeah.
already overwhelmed, you're already tired. And then you have this heavy, heavy energy on top of you as well. It does not allow for you to actually see the light
Right.
because you're looking through that sludge.
Yeah.
So it's really clear that out.
Yeah. What's interesting about depression, I feel like is it's energy, like we mentioned, is always fluid. So when we experience an energy that's lingering, or what I like to call looping, is, creating the same experiences with the same type of energy. I feel like with that looping energy, it's slowing down and asking myself, okay, what is here? Like, why am I seeing this again? Or why am I experiencing this again? And it might not be a conversation, but maybe like you mentioned, have fun, shift up your routine, try something new. A lot of people haven't really left their home, and, especially in California, for the last year. So this might be a good time to go on a hike, switch up your environment. I always say, check into, your home. Is it really gloomy and dark? Does it feel like it has too much clutter? Those are good ways to just shift the energy, because that sluggish energy to me can, sometimes be shifted also with new perspectives and just shifting your routine as well.
Right. Yeah, see, we had all this time for spring cleaning. I didn't do it, though. It's like, I'll do that some other day.
Right.
But you're right. It is about your environment too, and
Yeah.
clearing that out if you can, and start to get outside now. We've been stuck in for so long. Change the energy. Nature changes the energy as well. So if you can get somewhere where you can see nature, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
And it also helps with that grounding, because a lot of times if we're not really grounded, we feel kind of off center, which is a really scary place to be. And so when you're off center and you're fearful, then comes the depression. Oh no, what if I can't get back to center?
Right.
So just get out there, get yourself back to that grounded state.
And so you mentioned you have 2 teenagers, and I'm sure they've had to deal with the online school situation as well, and, probably shifting into a new reality now. What is one thing that's helped with Reiki with their fatigue and, maybe some of that overwhelm from having been on technology so much? Unless they always are. I know a lot of them are, but it's different. Zoom's different than
Oh my
gaming and all
gosh.
that.
Yeah, I'm just going to say COVID schooling is the drag.
Yeah.
Parents, yeah, I get you, man. It's been horrible.
Yeah.
But you have to remember they're in front of a screen all the time. All that ions and stuff is getting stuck in their energy as well, which is
Yeah.
not helping.
Right.
So again, if you can get in there and just clear that stuff out, support the energy that is there. Because if we're sitting around doing nothing for a long time, we're not supporting our energy. We're just kind of hanging out. So with my kids, it's really get them out. My son's a lot harder than my daughter. She has a horse, so she likes to be out all the time.
Right.
But luckily my son started to run for cross country and track, so that gets him out.
Good.
And so I think physical activity is huge. I mean, that's what helps me.
Yeah.
Getting out to run, and that helps a lot. So move the body.
Yes. Yeah.
Move the body, you move the energy.
And you mentioned they're Reiki masters as well.
Yeah.
So when did they become Reiki masters?
They
and do
were
they practice?
little. My son, he's too cool for that, but my daughter will. But you know what? He's so kind that I think he offers it not just by hands-on, hey, let me do healing, but just by his nature, he's healing. Yeah. My daughter, she will, because of her horse or whatever, she'll go do Reiki on him.
Yeah.
And then of course all the animals get it here as well.
Yeah. And your partner as well. Does she do Reiki on you?
No, she doesn't do Reiki, huh? Right?
She's like, no, you can do it to me.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's your role.
Yeah. Take care of me.
Yeah.
So the animals in our house all get along. And so that's the one thing people are always shocked when they come over. They're like, okay, you got bunny rabbits and cats and dogs all just hanging out in the living room together. The cats are fine with the rats are fine with the dogs. And so people are always like, what is going on in your home? I said, I'll do Reiki. So
I love that.
That's really cool. And people that say, oh, it's the placebo effect. These animals don't know the placebo effect at all. Mm-mm. And you see huge change in them. So
yeah.
Cool.
Animals are so fun. When we had our store, it was a storefront on a really busy street, and there's a lot of residents that had dogs. And so their dogs would literally try to drag their owners into our store all the time. And you could just see their eyes were just like, the little dogs were just like, Reiki, I want some. I was just like, I'm here. And it's, I love remote. So one thing people don't understand is that you can actually do Reiki remote as well. All pandemic, I've been doing everything remote. And some people have a hard time understanding that. So what is a good way to explain remote Reiki based on all the students you've taught?
Well, we're all connected already.
Yep.
Our energy particles are going back and forth. We're all connected. And so the second my thought is I want to help that person, send it. It happens because energy always follows thought, And so it's like, when you're all of a sudden you think about somebody and you call them and they're like, oh my God, I was totally thinking about you today too. Yeah. That's it. That's, that connection. And it's, so if you send Reiki, you'll always get that person call. I don't know why, but I was totally thinking about you today.
Yeah. Where intention goes, energy flows. And I actually love doing Reiki remote. And the way I do it is verbal. I'll walk people through their energy so they can hear it verbally, and they just love it. They're just like, how do you know all this? And it's energy, and it wants to be expressed because it's based on the work you've done and based on what's ready to be released. And sometimes hearing it expressed by someone that doesn't even know you is so powerful. So even though I miss the in-person, I'm actually grateful that I can do Reiki remote. And, there is modalities to connect to anyone, anywhere in the world. And it's such a gift. So if you're interested in learning Reiki and you're in Southern California, please check out Huntington Beach Reiki. And Kerri, what's your website? Is it freereikiforcancer.com still?
That's that. And that's also hbreiki.com.
Perfect. hbreiki.com. And that's hbreiki.com.
That's it.
Yeah. Beautiful. And, I want to shout that out just in case anyone wants to. Kerri does have upcoming classes. They're all donation based. As she mentioned, all money goes towards covering her nonprofits and supporting cancer patients as well, and the horse rescue and animal rescue. She has amazing workshops. I think I've taken now over 5 of your classes, and I plan to do way more. I love learning from you. So please, if you're in the area, check her out. She does in person. I was telling Kerri she definitely gets to go remote soon. So maybe there will be an upcoming workshop collaboration with the two of us, and
Definitely.
we'll check that out.
Show me the ropes, man.
I got you. Yeah, whatever you need. We're in this together for sure.
Right.
Any last words or anything else you want to share with everyone today?
I always say, if you're skeptical, try it. What's it going to harm you? And I said, come to me because it's donation based. Really, if you really hate it, don't donate, but try it. Yeah. And that's all you'll need to be, okay, this is really good. But, don't say no. When acupuncture first came here, we were all like, ooh, yeah, boo-boo, dude, let's not do that. Now it's part of just normal care for everybody. And I think Reiki and energy healing is going to be the same.
Yeah. I mean, you've been teaching this for 14 years now, and I can imagine 14 years ago, this must have been a very different conversation than it is now, because I think more people are way open to Reiki than ever before. I hear it commonly used, which I love, and it makes me really excited. But I bet you 14 years ago, that must have been very challenging too. But I mean, given your experience, you probably had an undeniable reason to just keep going and mission. That's extremely clear.
Yeah, nobody knew what Reiki was back then. So if you said you did Reiki, they're like, what? I'm like, you say now, people, okay, I know what that is.
Right.
But it was fun because you had the skeptics. Yeah. And they were like sometimes the best people to do the healing on, because they were like, oh my gosh, I totally feel better. And you're right, that works.
Yeah.
So, but it was, nobody knew what it was. And so going to the hospitals and hospice saying, hey, I'd like to volunteer this, it was really hard because they did not know what it was.
Yeah. What was the opening for that?
I said Reiki again. I said it's just a relaxation technique to open up their healing, their energy channels so their body can heal. And some people were like, oh, yeah, okay, let's do that. And others were like, yeah, we're not ready for that. So I was just a pain in the butt and just kept calling and showing up like, are you sure? Yeah. And eventually they were like, okay, fine, come on in.
Yeah.
And the Reiki programs that are going on in Hoag Hospital and stuff are so successful. That the cancer patients love it.
It's so beautiful, and thank you for creating that foundation as one of your students. It's so wonderful to be able to volunteer and support people that need help during those transitional times. And so thank you for creating everything that you create. Thank you for being you, and everyone listening, please check out Kerri Draper, hbreiki.com. And of course, if you have any questions, you can reach out to her, and I'm sure she could give you so much knowledge after being in this work for 14 years, teaching thousands of students, me included. Just from the bottom of my heart, thank you, Kerri, for being you.
Like I say, if I don't know it, I'll make it up.
I love it. All right. Well, with that, thanks for being on the show this week. And, for all that are listening and tuning in, again, this is a time of transformation, new beginnings. Be aware of what's showing up, because it's truly a time to step into a new version of yourself, and you don't need to rush it. Use the energy of Taurus to remain practical and present to each moment. The next 5 months are going to be a journey of soul growth. So you got this. And with that, I'll see you next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Have a great day. Have a great week. And I'll see you next week. Thank you for tuning in to Master Your Energy here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. And also streamed live on YouTube on the Energy Haus YouTube channel, where you can also find live activations, meditations, and other content to support you on your energy healing needs. If you're looking for services, products, tools to go even deeper, please make sure to check out energyhauslb.com. That's EnergyHausLB.com. On that site, you'll see a list of services, products, and so much more for all things energy, mind, body, and soul. With that, have a powerful week, and I'll see you next Tuesday at 4 p.m. on KCAA Radio and YouTube Live.